for-profit is actually pretty interesting and easy to dive into as well. So over the last year and a half or so, I actually have been diving into for-profit clients a little bit more. So that's a really interesting take coming from the federal world.
Hello, hello. It's Holly Rustick here with Grant Writing and Funding, and we have an amazing episode and show for you today with Lydia Vollmann, and she is the founder of Grant Our Community, and we're going to be talking about. And you're also in the mentorship, so we love to talk about that too. And we're gonna talk about a lot of things today, but one of the biggest things I think is just like as you've been 24 hours into it, is you just moved to Germany and you moved your business there, and it's so much fun, and you've also like taken on a fully new type of who or service in 2025, and actually a little bit longer than that now. And I love that too. So we'll talk about from federal grant writing all the way to writing for profits and moving your business overseas and all of the things. So I'm really excited. So welcome, Lydia. Welcome to the Grant Writing and Funding
Thank
podcast.
you. I'm so excited. I
Yeah.
have so much to tell you. So I'm ready to get started.
I know we were like chatting. It was so good. So good. So we have a lot to talk about, but let's just talk about you let's like let people get to know you. I love this part. This is my favorite part of the podcast. So I can hear more about you. Like what got you into grant writing, especially federal, like you are like really entrenched in federal. So let's talk about your journey.
Yeah. So I've been doing federal grants actually for a little bit over 18 years. I started with disaster grants. I started with the state. I went to the county. I went to the city. I've done it all on the federal level, and just kind of flowing the money down through states and counties. So that was an interesting path that I took there. But recently, as everyone is aware, with all the cuts and the freezes, just a little switch up there. What I learned is that for-profit is actually pretty interesting and easy to dive into as well. So over the last year and a half or so, it's been probably 18 months, I actually have been diving into for-profit clients a little bit more. So that's a really interesting take coming from the federal world. And what I was able to do is integrate AI a lot more than I was before. Previously, well, some folks may not know this, but previously, federal government had pretty restrictive view on AI, and working with for-profit clients kind of removed that restriction and enabled me to really dive into integrating it, making it work for me, and helping my clients with AI, but still being compliant in the grants world.
I love that so much. And you just said a lot. Like we went through 18 years of like, experience and all of the things and going through that and your transition. So let's talk about that because that's a huge transition. Like a lot of people in federal grants are like, I'm a federal grant writer and that's all I'll be forever. And like it's like almost hard to like look outside that box, right? Because there's a lot of knowledge in there too, but you're like, oh hey, for profit. What was the kind of opening of looking at another, because that expands a lot that you can do and a lot of people you can serve, right?
There is a ton you can do. I would say the opening for me was my passion about environmental justice. So we all know the IJA and the BIL came out. There was a lot of focus on environmental justice. And I actually worked for with a cement manufacturer for a while, something I never thought I would learn about. So that was so interesting. And what the main point was, the main topic was to reduce emissions. 8% of emissions in the world come from cement or just manufacturing. Concrete cement, we've got all these products. I won't bore you, but there's a whole science behind it. And I was able to get with a for-profit client that was looking to reduce those emissions across the nation. So not just in my local area, but across all 50 states. And basically wrote won grants, EPA, DOE, all the federal alphabet soups were looking to help with reducing those emissions. So that was a ton of fun. I learned a lot. It was interesting. It opened up so many doors, and it just helped me realize that, you know what, this is not restricted to nonprofit or government or counties, whatever, municipalities, whatever there is. It's so wide open.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And a lot of businesses, I feel like even in the last couple of years, I've seen more and more grant writers writing for profits. And I think part of it is with the pandemic funding, there was more funding potentially that was advertised as well and just given out to businesses too. And then more businesses started talking. It's like, how are you funding that? Oh, I'm funding it with grants, etc. So with kind of the shifts that we're seeing, especially in environmental justice, right, in those areas, like, has that impacted your not your I would say your non business clients, like your federal clients, or even your business clients? Like, can you
Right.
talk about that? Your for profit, yeah.
Right. Non-federal, for business, all of the above, right? There was a big
Mhm.
shift when the change came and we can no longer use certain words or we can no longer fund certain things. It shifted it a lot, but honestly, not so much. So,
Mhm.
ironically, I still was able to help a lot of the missions in the housing. So, cement makes houses, and so the housing portion of that mission was still there. We still had to provide
Yeah.
housing to low income families or this area or a rural area, whatever the criteria is. So it just had to kind of learn and shift a little bit to um, use different wording and apply it in a
Mhm.
different manner. Just a different angle a little bit than it was before. So no longer could we say environmental justice, but this is still helping this area, this rural area, maybe a tribal area, maybe a specific
Mhm.
rural county, by reducing emissions by a certain percentage. And that is where we brought AI in and focused a lot on, hey, how can we say this just a tad bit different? Same message,
Mhm.
different wording. So that was
Yeah.
really helpful. Just bringing AI in and using AI to reword, revamp, re-idealize is what I like to call it, and just making sure that we still have the same mission, but we just got to word it a little differently.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure, like, even when a lot of the funding came out under the Biden administration for environmental justice and practice, then it was encouraging you to use that kind of terminology as well. So there was probably, did you also have a shift like towards more of that language too during that time? And now you're just like, okay, now we're shifting the language again.
Yep, it was actually just that, what you said. So it's kind of a double shift because
Mhm.
Biden came out with his own terminology. Environmental justice is
Yeah.
not something that necessarily was used, let's say 2010. I don't think I knew what
Yeah.
that term meant, but it was a near and dear term. It became one of my favorite terms. I actually have a passion for exactly what that term describes. So
Right.
again, just had to go and see what can I say instead of using the words environmental justice. Now I just have to explain it in a full sentence and say, hey, I'm going to reduce the emissions by 8% in this area, and this is how it will affect the population in that area. It's
Mhm.
going to help everyone in that area. And also, there's still a big focus on solar and EVs and things like that. So environmental justice is not gone per se, just the terminology.
Yeah, I love that. And I love like leaning in and not being afraid and being like, no, there's still funding out there, but maybe need to look at it in a different way, right? Like,
Absolutely.
okay, the intersectionality of environmental justice is also like health benefits, like if you can reduce those emissions, or,
Yeah,
poverty reduction, or all of those types, that are providing new jobs, or, so like looking at it just through different language and saying, no, we can still
absolutely.
get grants. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
love
one
that.
example I have for that is, we did roll out a ton of EVs over the last couple of years. Those don't just go away just because the terminology goes away. So now what we have to do is we have to make sure we can recharge those. So we're actually looking at reinvesting into some chargers for those. So I'm sure everyone is aware California is one of the states that has the largest fleet of EVs, and there's a need. There's a real need for chargers and putting those stations around the state so that everyone can charge their EVs and not have to go trade it in and keep those
Yeah.
EVs, right? And so
Yeah.
that's currently still a big grant program. It just is not called environmental justice, but we still have to service those that did invest into environmental justice at the time.
Yeah, I love that so much. And that's right. I mean, to keep that sustainable, there has to be infrastructure, right? That keeps being developed. So I
Absolutely.
remember when my daughter and I we were in Portugal, and back in 2021, we were there for a month, and we were down south, and we were like, it was beautiful, but people were like, yeah, there was like 30-minute lines just to charge, right? And they needed more infrastructure, and they're like more ahead than a lot of places even in the
Right.
United States, but it was still like building out those infrastructures to support
There you
that
have it.
change, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
fun. Okay, so let's okay, yeah. So you've been able to now focus on businesses too. And I think even I just kind of want to highlight that because it's really inspiring to be a part of such a big movement as well. Like you're saying, 8% reduction, like overall. Like how, like, just to talk about, like, yeah, we do the grant writing, we do the nitty gritty, we're looking at budgets, we're looking at all these things. But I think sometimes we forget, like, what we're a part of when we're like the girl in the chair, right?
Yeah.
Like what we're actually a part of. So, can you talk about like being a part of such a huge mission for an organization too?
Oh my gosh, I learned so much. I almost felt like I needed a new badge, like a gold star. Call me, the
Yeah.
scientific grant writers. Give me a new title. That's what I felt like. But I learned so much. You don't just learn about what we are currently doing to the environment, that we need to fix it, but you just kind of learn about futuristic thoughts as well. And I think that's also where AI helps a lot because it kind of has the new process of thinking or a new way outside of the box kind of
Mhm.
way of thinking and suggestions. And I have met so many innovators in that field of environmental justice. I know the word went away, but it is still my favorite word. And there are so many innovative people that have come up with these new ideas. Oh, we can reduce it like this. We can reduce it like that. We can, clean up the area like this. And those ideas are fundable through the same
Yeah.
grants that we've been looking at. You take away the word environmental justice, it's still a fundable, innovative, new type of grant funding.
Yeah.
Easy
Yeah.
peasy. So again, just jumble up the words and here we go.
Yeah,
New
there it is.
project.
Yeah, so let's talk about like how that AI now has integrated into your business and helping your clients with that.
Yeah, so actually working with for-profit clients really helped me dive more into AI. I'm actually becoming a certified AI consultant as well. So that's kind of my
Nice.
next like
Nice.
goal is to be certified in that. But ultimately, what I want to do is be able to merge AI products along with grant writing, grant management, grant everything, and just
Yeah.
make sure you're using that smarter, not harder, right? So AI has been really simplified a lot of thought processes because you're working with people that are so smart, scientists, environmentalists, all the ists titles,
Yep.
and they don't always know how to explain it to you in simple words where I can write a needs statement or I can say, here's the goal. They have these numbers and things like that, which is
Yeah.
great. It's needed. But AI just helps me ensure that I have the human part, ironically, in a grant as well, and just kind of translate it into the terms that I need it to be. And then the other thing with that is you just have to write your own policy for using AI to make sure that you're not breaking any rules. That's the most
Hmm.
important piece, I would say, that I've learned out of just my AI classes and courses and all of that, and just trying to merge it with what I already know. Federal restrictions
Hmm.
are already strict enough, right?
Yeah.
But I think even now the federal government is slowly coming around in incorporating some AI entities into their ability. And that is still circling, still new. Their AI policy is pretty new, but I want to be ahead of things and teach my clients how to utilize AI properly, making sure
Yeah.
you keep PII safe. PII is a federal regulation that's it's just like HIPAA. You cannot share
Hmm.
names, phone numbers, all of the things. And you just have to make sure that you're retracting, making sure your metadata is taken out of any documents you upload. And those are the things that I feel are important to teach my clients. For
Yeah.
profit, nonprofit, whatever you are, you're okay. You can use AI. It's not against the rules, but
Mhm.
you have to make sure you retract the data, the information, and just put in what it is you need to know in return from AI. Scratch all the names, scratch all the important pieces. Definitely have three best practices. What some clients don't even realize that they can use AI right, freely. But instead of reading, for example, the 2 CFR in whole, it's like a little Bible itself. You read the whole regulations
Yes.
and you're like dizzy afterward. But instead of reading that, tell your AI to summarize it to you. Tell your AI to interpret, what does this rule mean? Tell it, hey, I have this, I'm looking at this procurement regulation, 2 CFR 238, I believe. Don't quote me.
Yeah.
But instead of me reading through the whole thing and interpreting what I think it means, tell AI to help you read it. Type that in, and simple conversation back and forth with your AI is good enough. You start with, hey, what does this mean? And then you can have a conversation. Okay, define this word. I don't know. I'm not sure what that meant. So I need you to go and summarize in more detail what that meant, things like that. And then once you understand the policy or the regulations from your AI, then you can tell your AI, hey, I need to write a policy. I need to write a procedure. These are a lot of check marks
Mhm.
that I'm not currently doing. So AI, can you help me write a checklist so that I can ensure I'm interpreting and implementing these policies correctly? What a grant writer and a grant manager is there is to tell them, here's a checklist. I need you to make sure you're doing this, this,
Mhm.
this.
Yep.
Timesheets, procurement, whatever small task that is assigned to
Mhm.
them or me, it just needs to be on the checklist. And you really want to use your AI to work smarter for you, to read
Mhm.
those rules, understand those rules, and create those checklists.
Yeah, and I noticed, or I know that you also mentioned, and I don't know if this was in the green room or in the beginning of the interview, but you also mentioned using AI. I think it was in the green room applications too, right? So there's a FOA,
Absolutely.
out of funding opportunity announcement, RFP, that sort of thing. So you're also like running it through. Like, what would be some of the questions to really understand a FOA that you ask AI?
So I will say I have about 3 or 4 pages worth of questions and prompts that I have
Mhm.
listed out ready to go. And that is what I call an SOP. So most
Mhm.
first and
Yep.
foremost, I would say build an SOP if that's something you want to do. Play around with the prompts and see how you want to organize that. And I do have for the listeners a free prompt book if they want to reach out and get that from me.
Ooh,
But
amazing.
it's a lot. It's 3 pages
Yeah.
worth, and so it's not just, I'm not just throwing it into chat and saying, hey, summarize this. It's a 3-part prompt that says, hey, can you summarize this? Do you understand what it means? Can you tell me in layman words what it means? And
Mm.
then what if I'm a nonprofit? How can I qualify for that? What if I'm a for-profit? How can I qualify for that? Do I qualify that? Um, Look at my resume. Here's my resume and tell me, what do I need to add to my resume? Or maybe I just need to move on to the next one. There's so many points that you can use AI to do as a checkpoint where
Mhm.
it gives you the quick way to understand an RFP and know if it's a go or no go. Maybe I don't even
Yep.
qualify. Maybe my client doesn't qualify. I don't need to waste my time with it. Move on to the
Yeah.
next one. And also finding those RFPs and grants too. AI,
Mhm.
I always tell folks, don't worry, AI is not going to take your job because AI is really not that smart.
No, it's just a
Generative.
tool, like,
It's a
right? Like, you still have
tool,
to feed in those questions and
right?
you still have to read what comes out, but it's just kind of like maybe instead of you spending an hour and a half looking through the application and finding all the answers, it takes a few minutes, right? Or
Right.
like,
So,
so yeah.
yep, I always say that AI is really not that smart. Without you, it does not generate ideas. It needs a human
Yeah.
brain to generate those ideas. If I say, hey, give me some grants, it's going to give me junk. So the
Yeah.
prompt is the most important piece, and that's what you can find in a good prompt AI book. And I offer that. So
Mhm.
it's like a 5-part prompt, but it gives me some really
Amazing.
good answers.
So we'll definitely have the link to that for all you listeners or viewers that you can definitely go and check out. Thank you for offering that free checklist. That's awesome. I'm going to look at it.
Absolutely.
I love it. I'd love to see what y'all are doing. So, okay, so let's now segue into, you were working in federal grants, you moved into a for-profit as well. And all of these things, and then you joined the mentorship as well to like kind of look at your business from a different lens. So yeah, like, why did you join the mentorship, and what have you gotten from it? And then we're going to talk about your move to Germany, and that's going to be a part of this because I know people are like, what? I still want to hear about that.
We haven't even talked about,
So
that's a huge part. So
yeah.
what I didn't realize at the beginning of the mentorship is what it was going to end up leading me to, which is Germany. But we'll start from the beginning. So I joined the mentorship. I'm sure I saw your ads, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she makes she makes grant writing sound so fun. And I was like, I need to learn from her. Because to be honest, and my cohort will tell you, I say all the time, yeah, oh, I don't really like writing. Not my favorite thing to do. But here I am writing grants and I'm enjoying it and I'm living in Germany doing it and it's great. So
Yeah.
that is definitely number one reason why I joined the cohorts, just to kind of
I
learn
love
how to
that. You're
do
like,
my
it looks like
consulting.
fun.
No, seriously. It's serious.
We can make this fun.
Oh, it's always my like ongoing joke. I tell folks, I really don't like writing.
Yeah.
But I've been doing it for 18 years. I always been told I'm great at grant compliance. So I have
Yeah.
that at least. But now I also know how to write grants successfully because I've won like $2.5 million in the last 6 months. So there you go. So you
Amazing.
definitely taught me
Amazing.
right, Holly.
Yeah, yep. You're like, it's happening. It's good. And even in the last 6 months, that's all in the front of 2025. Like, amazing. Amazing for your cause
Absolutely.
area.
Yep.
Hello. Hello.
2025
So,
alone, the worst year of grant history. But I
and for your cause area. So we're just saying that. Yeah, I love that. That is fun. That is a lot of fun.
And
Yeah.
so that's the part I've learned, and that's why I came. Now, what I didn't expect to take away was just learning how to be an independent contractor as much as I am. I always was kind of reliant on the federal government. That was my thing. I liked working with the federal government. You always have to like live in the United States and be in that area, like be close, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a little more restrictive. But just being with your cohort, listening to them, listening to you, listening to everybody's testimonials and stories, it was just kind of like, I can do that too. For profit is not that much different. And then all of a sudden, I had for profit clients, and they don't have the same restrictions that the federal government has. So then all of a sudden, I was hearing about everybody going on vacation because they work for themselves. And then I was like,
Yeah.
let me go on a vacation. And the next time I call into Holly's workshop, I'm going to tell everybody I'm calling from the poolside.
Yep. Yeah.
So
And you're
I
like, I'm in Jamaica, y'all. I'm at the pool. We're like, yes.
And so that alone was just kind of eye-opening for me, just doing that. Like, not bragging, but just being able to do it. And
Yeah.
everybody was like, bravo, well done. And I was just like, this is great. Then the idea
Mhm.
crept into my head, and I was like, well, why not move back home? And so here
Yeah.
I am back home for the rest of 2025 for sure. I have enough clients lined up to know that I will be here in Germany where I was born and raised. And I'll just be chilling, writing grants.
I love that. I love that you're back home and you're like, yeah, I just had dinner with my mom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that what you've built is allowing you that flexibility. Because you said, oh yeah, the number one thing on my list, like for me, was traveling and being independent and for this year. And like,
Yeah.
look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you
Number
now.
one on my list, independence and travelability. I have that
Yeah.
highlighted on my list. And guess what? Check.
I love that so much. And what kind of tools inside the mentorship have kind of helped you? Was it just like being inspired and being like, oh, this is possible? Or was it the
Oh,
certain tools
definitely.
you used or?
I would say definitely just listening to people and how they were walking through their own process just made my wheels turn a little bit more and made me think, oh, okay, well, if they're thinking, about it this way, I can shift it to what works for me a little bit. And then, there were folks going on vacation or maybe they were staying with their mom out of state for a little bit longer. And it was just kind of like, well, my mom needs me too. I can put this in my mom. But then I also had one-on-one conversations. I had a lot of real life connections with some of the cohorts that I was
I
in the
love
same
that.
cohort with. And it just was good conversation.
Yeah.
I had some folks that, hey, they want to partner with me. They actually asked me a lot of questions and wanted me to kind of bring them in on the work that I'm doing. So they want to know how does for-profit work. They want to know these things and they have their own accolades. So absolutely, we can partner and work together.
I
It's almost
love that.
easy. I don't want to say it's easy, but it almost was. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, you kind of speak my language. Let's talk.
Yep. I know there's definitely been like some people who have been more niche, like into AI, early adopters like you, doing amazing things. And you're like, yep, we're partnering now. Like we're doing
Right.
something. And like you said, like you and Guy, like all for profits, like let's talk there. Like, so I love that, just being able to create those community and other people in the field, but that have parallel things or just aligned. So partnering is so much fun, I think, especially
Yeah.
like within groups that you already know. Like I've been seeing these people for the last year. Like, you know what I mean? Like we see each other
Mhm.
every week. And so just having those relationships. So,
Yep.
so good. And
That's
look
the
at you,
key
like,
word. Fun.
yeah. Yeah, fun. Fun goes back to fun. You're like, I want to join that because it looks fun. Yeah. So and now you're like, oh my gosh, who knew you came in federal grant, like your federal clients, right? And then also like in living in the States, and now you're like in Germany, have
I
for-profit
know.
clients.
Yeah.
Like,
I would definitely give some credit to my cohort. I know I was talking to a guy the other day,
yes.
and he was like, "Yeah, I work with this nonprofit, and then I want to do this." And he also asked me about certification, those kind of things. And I'm just like, you know what? This world is so big. We had an hour-long conversation, literally about
Nice.
just like toddlers. Okay, what do you do? Okay, what do you do? What do you do here? What? And it's just like I came up with notes this big, and I know he had some
Yep.
notes too. So it's just kind of
Yep.
like, what? This is a big world. Grants is not just federal, so I grew a lot.
No. I love that. I would love to have been a fly on the wall of that conversation. You guys are both so amazing. I can see your brains like working as you're talking. Yep. Coming up, you'd be coming up with a new empire like
Yeah,
together after an hour.
kind of did. It'll be rolling out in
Yep.
2026.
There you go. Yep. I knew it. I knew it. Awesome. All right. So we're going to wrap this up, but it was so great having you on, Lydia. And I love everything you're doing. And I just love like the energy you bring to all the calls and everything and the amazing things that you're doing in the world and for yourself too. So any closing words that you want to say before we close out today?
And I'm really just happy to be here. I kind of held off on doing the podcast because I said, and you saw me say this in the chat, and my cohort was like, "Yes, you are. What are you talking about?" So here I am again. I just say, if you join the cohort, make them your best friends. They will be your best friends.
Yes.
They are your best friends. They know what you're talking about. You don't have to explain yourself. Just network, network, network. Keep your mind open, keep your brain open. New ideas are great ideas. Just add to your portfolio. Take away a
Yeah.
little nugget from each conversation, and you're winning.
I love that. And yeah, we have amazing people in the mentorship and just like those lifelong connections, like for sure, for
Absolutely.
sure. Like, I mean, you guys, you share things, you share your financials, you share like where you're at, you share your struggles, you share your wins, you share like there's not much else out there. I mean, even like let's like get into it, like even with your spouse or partners or family members, like you might share, oh yeah, I won this grant or I'm doing this thing. They don't really get it. They
No,
don't really get it, right? But like these people in the mentorship, they get you. Like it is like a different type of relationship and connection that is so
it
special.
is.
And yeah, I love it. I love that
Absolutely. I
you
know I
guys
could
have
not
those.
wait to put like my first win in there and just like see who was all gonna be like, yay, balloons, emojis. It's just like my turn.
Yeah.
It's just
Yep.
celebration, right? We celebrate
Yep.
everybody, and I say just take full advantage of communicating with everyone, and you'll be fine. If you learn one tidbit every week, you learn
Yep.
a lot.
Yep. I love it so much. All right. So where can people find you
So,
online?
my nonprofit is currently at grantourcommunity.org. You can find me there, message me there. Of course, I'm on Instagram, grantourcommunity.org, all of that thing. But website is probably the easiest to
Amazing.
find me. And then also, I have a bunch of freebies. So if y'all want to visit my website, message me, see what you can get. I've got all the AI prompts and a readiness assessment thingy.
Mhm.
What do you call that?
Yep. We got
Report.
your free checklist. Yeah, I love it. And
Assessment.
that's a grant ORUR or OUR
Oh, you are.
grantourcommunity.com. Yep. So you
Right.
guys, if you're listening out there, just you can put that in there, find Lydia there, and that free
Yeah.
checklist she mentioned, and all of the things that you have. So definitely connect with her on
Yeah.
LinkedIn on Well. So there's a lot going on there. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been so fun just to
It
talk to you,
has.
especially as you're settling into your apartment in Germany.
Right?
Like, so fun. Yeah.
And I'm forgetting my words already. It's like, what's the word? Assessment.
Yes.
But
Yes.
soon enough, you'll hear my accent come back, my German accent, and then I'll be in the cohort sounding like a German. So
It's all right. It's all right. We love it. We love it. Awesome. Well, I will see you back inside the mentorship. And thank you again for everything you're doing for the environment and all of the things that you're doing for different organizations around the world and
my
for yourself.
pleasure. Like I said,
Loved it.
eventually I'll put a badge on here. Gold star.
That's right. Science. All right. All right. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.